Yo, what's going on everybody? It's MF Buddy. I'm back with another video to help you master your zero build gameplay. I gotta admit, this video is gonna be a little bit different. I've been spending the past 30 days playing aim labs every single day, but on controller. I wanted to share with you guys some of the key takeaways and the things that I learned during my time while playing it, and why I think that you should be playing aim labs too if you have the ability to. So, if at any point you find this video helpful, informative, make sure to drop a like, leave me a comment and let me know what your thoughts are, and most importantly, subscribe for more zero build content like this. But let's get into the video. So when I first started playing aim labs, probably the biggest thing that I realized is my aim wasn't as good as I thought it was. And maybe that's because when you play Fortnite, you have aim assist and you don't realize where your weaknesses are, but I quickly learned that I had some improving to do. Now, most people when they play aim labs, obviously they're going to be on mouse and keyboard, but I'm a controller player, so I wanted to stay on controller. But the very first thing that I learned, my aim necessarily wasn't there, right? So there are a few categories, different things that really get measured when you're aim training. You have flicking, you have speed, you have reaction time, you have precision, and you have smoothness. As a controller player, you're already kind of limited in what you can do, but that doesn't mean that something like aim labs isn't extremely beneficial for any player that has the ability to play. It was kind of a humbling experience at first, trying to learn how to play aim labs. And when you first play aim labs as well on controller, it does have aim assist on, but what I wanted to do to push myself was turn the aim assist off. I really wanted to spend this time working on my raw aim and see what would come out and where I could improve. Now, the second thing that really popped up as I started to play consistently and get a good routine in is I noticed that there was a lot of tension in my hands. When I was aiming, I would feel myself really gripping my controller and holding it way too tight. I was just way too, not relaxed. And one of the things that I really tried to work on during my time in this 30 days was making sure that I gripped my controller as lightly as possible, my thumbs moving the joysticks with as little tension as possible, and making sure that I was in a very relaxed place as I played through the exercises each and every day. This one right here was probably the biggest key in helping me to improve over the 30 days, because I found that the more relaxed my hands were, the more relaxed I felt like my fingers were, my thumbs were, I noticed an immediate improvement in my aim and in my ability to control. And that's something that I think a lot of controller players aren't even aware of. And I want you to think about it. When you're in a really, big fight in a match, right? How are you feeling? Do you feel relaxed, or do you feel yourself like gripping the controller, holding on tight, whether you intended to or not? Right? And that was something that I learned while going through this, is just realizing like, man, I am gripping the heck out of this controller and I think I need to loosen up. So the next time that you're playing and you're in a stressful situation, see if you can remember to become aware of how your hands feel, how the grip feels. Are you tensing up? Because that actually is messing up your aim more than you realize. And if you actually could be in a situation where you can practice just relaxing and holding the controller gently and softly, I'd be willing to bet that you'd see some improvements in your accuracy, in your ability to aim and control and focus. But this one was like truly a game changer for me. So next time you're in that situation, if you can, just become aware of your hands and let me know if something like that pops up. The next thing I realized that was actually really important when it comes to playing on controller and improving your aim on controller in aim labs was micro movements. This was something that I really didn't understand how important this was, but there are so many different exercises in aim labs where the type of movement that you have to do is not demanding a full push of the joystick one way or the other, but they're little tiny micro movements that you have to keep up with. So what this did is it actually forced me to become familiar with I don't know if it's like different muscles or anything like that, but smaller movements of my thumb, which therefore started training more control of the movement of my thumb. And for someone like me, I typically have been like, I tend to like fat finger my joystick. right? So I'm like heavy-handed. And so my history of aiming would be, I would just kind of push it all the way to the left, all the way to the right. And my aim was good, but what I realized is I was leaving a lot of accuracy on the table by not really learning how to move the joystick slightly, right? So this is those micro movements that we are talking about. So the next thing that I learned that I want to share with you guys is that with something like Aim Labs, your weaknesses in your aim can actually be more easily identified and set you up to have a routine that's very specific for that weakness. I mentioned earlier that there is some categories when we're talking about aim, right? You can measure your scores in Aim Labs, and then based off where your scores are the lowest, you can actually create a routine or play a playlist that is focused on that weakness. Now, I know a lot of people are probably tempted to just play what they're strong at, but that's not what Aim Labs is really for. Going for a high score is super cool, but at the same time, what we're wanting to do is improve where we are weak. I noticed that on exercises where objects didn't have like a fully predictable path, it was harder for me to be able to manage and flick to that on controller. So that is one of the areas that I've actually been working on and been trying to do more exercises in, but there's gonna be other areas where you're like weak, right? That's one of the things that I truly appreciated about this aim trainer is that because of the scoring system, it put you in a place where you could actually develop a routine to focus specifically on that. And finally, the last thing that I took away is, though it's repetitive, it genuinely helped me out a ton. Now, I was pretty skeptical, thinking like, hey, 30 days of aim training and, there's going to be like these massive improvements. I feel like I'm more of a realist, but I actually had a handful of friends who mentioned something to me about feeling and seeing like my aim was better and, making jokes about Aim Labs paying off and being a Aim Labs grinder. I think personally, like one of the things that actually helped out more than I realized was turning off aim assist in Aim Labs. Therefore, like when I got done with my Aim Labs exercises and I went into Fortnite to, continue playing, I keep aim assist on in Fortnite. So it was almost like so easy when I went in game to start playing Fortnite. It was so much easier to feel and recognize and know when the aim assist was there. And I personally think that if you're going to play Aim Labs and you're a controller player, make sure to turn off the aim assist. Just do yourself a favor and turn it off. That way you're truly working on your raw aim. And when you come back to Fortnite, it's going to feel crispy. It's going to feel good. Now, for all my controller players out there, I do want to say this really quick. Before you dive into Aim Labs and you feel super overwhelmed and you're all over the place, I'm no expert by any means. So feel free to do your own research on the topic. Feel free to dig into aim training on YouTube and see what you can find on controller. But do know that on controller, there are probably some things that you should focus on more than, say, something a mouse and keyboard player would focus on. In Fortnite, the main things that really are seen happening often in the game have to do with tracking and with smoothness and with speed and reaction time. One of the biggest encouragements that I have for controller players is to identify exercises that are applicable in game, right? So biggest thing that I try to work on in Aim Labs is speed and accuracy, but at the same time, I'm working on tracking and the smoothness of tracking objects, right? Because if you think about it, in game, specifically for Fortnite Zero Build, a majority of what helps us to win is our ability to track an opponent smoothly and accurately, right? So think about a player moving around, right? You're tracking them and you want it to be as smooth as possible. You want it to be as accurate as possible. And then what we're doing is we're going from one target and we're switching to the next, right? So how quickly and accurately can we switch from one target to the next? There's good resources on YouTube for Aim Labs, phenomenal, but they are mostly for keyboard and mouse. I mean, I guess just mouse because you're kind of not using your keyboard all the time for that. But either way, a lot of the aim principles are very applicable even to controller. So my final thoughts is I'm going to keep on playing Aim Labs because I actually love it and it's helped me out a ton. My encouragement to you is if you are someone who is wanting to really take up your aim to the next level and you have the ability to play Aim Labs, 100% go for it. You should be doing it. I know that I'm early on in the aim journey, but for this video, that's going to wrap it up. If you found this video helpful, informative, interesting, again, make sure to smash the like button, leave me a comment, and most importantly, subscribe for all things Fortnite Zero Build and the continuation of this aim journey. So until next time, I'm MF Buddy. GG's.